this is Meet the Candidate. This is Bert Moritz from District 6.
Correct.
And he is running for re-election. Welcome to take the time to come and visit us.
Thank you, Jerry.
This is your opportunity to kind of let the people know a little bit more about you and things. But being that you are an incumbent, and it's, can you give us a little background on you and what got you interested in going for school for the county board?
Sure. First, I think I'll give a little background on myself. I was actually born in South Dakota. I was born in a very small town. We had kind of a financially challenged family. We lived in the back of a gas station. Eventually went into farming, lost the farm, had a farm sale, and then my father got a job on the Rock Island Railroad, and we moved throughout the Midwest. So we moved through lots of small towns. Along the way, I got out of high school. I got drafted during Vietnam. I spent 15 months overseas, not in Vietnam. I spent it along the border between the DMZ, between North and South Korea. So I served in the military. After leaving the military, then I went back to college. I went to 4 different colleges, got my undergraduate degree, and then I got a doctorate. I got my doctorate in Chicago. I got a doctorate in optometry. After that, I went to the Westside VA administration and did an internship there, and then took a staff position at what was called Middleford Clinic here in Eau Claire, and is now Mayo Clinic. So I had a 33-year career there, an excellent career, saw thousands of patients in this area. I also published a number of articles. I lectured around the country. I was an assistant professor of ophthalmology at the Mayo Clinic School of Medicine. And near the end of my career, I started, when you want to know kind of how, I'd like to say one more personal thing. Along the way, I married a woman named Susan. I'm still married to her. We have one grown child named Anna and a little dog named Charlie.
Okay.
So dovetailing into how I got interested in the county board was that as I was nearing retirement and I'm looking for something to do, I decided to start volunteering for Eau Claire County. And I volunteered for the county in the aging and disability, and I gave some lectures and talked to groups of senior citizens to help them not fall in the Stepping On program. And I really liked that ability to reach out and help the citizens of the county. I also became a founding member of the Eau Claire River Coalition, and I continue to volunteer there, and I do water sampling at the bridges. And I also got involved in a project where we brought in 2 new river gauges at the K and the G Bridge, and I coordinated between Eau Claire County and the National Weather Service. And then we share data now for downstream flooding predictions. And doing those 2 things kind of really got me interested in the county. And so then, as part of the retirement, I decided to run for the county. I also have some hobbies.
Okay.
And one of my hobbies is fishing in the Eau Claire River. I fish it extensively. I'm an amateur astronomer. I run the telescopes at Beaver Creek Reserve, and I do some work for NASA there, which is a fun thing. And then finally, for Big Beaver Creek, I've tried to be active. For a number of years, I was on the Beaver Creek Board Foundation, and I was the chairman of that board. And that's kind of where I am right now.
Okay. So, being that you have had one session behind you, tell me a little bit about what your first term's been like for you, and then also give me some of the qualifications and things that you feel that you are meant to be doing this again.
Sure. So, you know, when you think about going to the county board, you have to have some assets that you bring to the table. I think my military experience has been one asset.
Okay.
And in the military, I learned to work with people of different races, creeds, educational, financial backgrounds, and that's important when you work with the public. Also in the Army, I learned that you have to have a team approach in order to get the mission accomplished. So I think I bring some value there. When I was at Mayo Clinic, I worked in the Department of Ophthalmology. It has a committee structure, just like the county has a committee structure. There I learned things like whether we need to add staff or subtract staff. if we're going to bring in new instruments, can we afford those? Let's work through the accounting of that. So on a microscopic level, that helped me.
Yeah.
On a macroscopic level, I also was on the management group for the Northwest Wisconsin Mayo Clinic Health System. So there we would have bigger projects. You know, we're going to bring in a big computer system. What are the downstream effects to the department? There we learned how do you continue the values of the institution and keep to that mission.
Yep.
And those things I think I've kind of brought to the table. Because I've been elected, then I have a minor issue in leadership. I'm the vice chair of the Parks and Forest Committee.
Okay.
And so I had to learn how to run a meeting, Robert's Rules of Order,
Okay.
how to respect the public as they come in and speak. And I'm also the only commissioner who is the airport commissioner for the Chippewa Valley Regional Airport.
Hi.
Yeah.
You are a busy man.
I am, yeah.
That's good.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think when you, with the advent of what you've talked about, tell me how you feel about having to try to balance this budget, and what are some of the obstacles that get in the way when you're a county supervisor on the budget, and some requirements that are expected of you.
Sure.
There, give us a little background on how you felt about
Sure.
that first term and
Yeah.
what you'd like to see go
Yeah, well,
forward.
yeah, it was certainly a learning experience. First, the learning to understand that it's very difficult for the county to try and raise money. We are handicapped by the state government, and consequently, raising more income is quite difficult. In the first term, we did, by the way, pass a wheel tax, and there was some benefit to that. My District 6, for the past 2 years, County K has been improved dramatically, and in the next 2 years, County D will be improved. So on a local level, that's good for my group. But when you try and balance a budget, I'll give you an example.
Okay.
During the first time we went through the budget, a constituent called me and said, you know, they're going to eliminate a position in the jail that should not be eliminated. They're trying to save some money, and it might not be a good idea.
Okay.
I had to explore that. It turned out to be a position in which an individual's job was first to teach people who were to be released from jail to improve their literacy, reading and writing.
Okay.
They helped them write resumes, and they helped them apply and get jobs. Now, it seems like to reduce recidivism, that would be a good position to retain. Now, when I made a resolution to retain that position, there's really no money. It's already been eliminated. So you have to, and I had to work with other parts of the county board and find out where we could take money from one pocket and put it into another, and come to some conclusion that that should be done. And so there are checks and balances. It's not a free checkbook here. And so those are the challenges you face in each budget.
Okay. Can you give us a little example of some of the mandates that come down from the state of programs or things that you have to do?
Sure.
You don't have a choice.
Right, right. Let's go back to, for example, the wheel tax.
Okay.
My constituents sent me emails. A lot of them said, I'm in favor of the wheel tax, but could you please exempt my grandmother? Could you please exempt the mentally handicapped who have to drive around in some van, and this sort of thing? Okay. And the answer, and could you be sure and charge big trucks? And the answer is no to all those things. The state of Wisconsin has pre-existing laws that would not allow us to do that. On a bigger and more important issue right now is, oftentimes, unfortunately, because of the methamphetamine and the opioid crisis, you will read in the paper. I read in the paper the other day, a husband and wife are going to jail. Their child checks with cocaine in its hair. That means they've been exposed to cocaine. That becomes a ward of the state. That's really not a ward of the state, that's a ward of the county. So the county legally has the charge of taking care of a lot of things that are really quite expensive. Not only do we have to pay for those individuals while they're in jail, we have to help take care of the family. So there are many mandates that come down that we have to respond to, but don't have a lot of input on.
Okay. So after now that you're looking to be reelected for a second term.
Sure.
What are three of the major things that you'd like to see pushed forward to just to help the county out as a whole?
Sure. On a small personal level, one of the reasons I got into the county board was I like the Eau Claire River.
Okay.
And I would really like to see a much safer access at the D Bridge. I've worked through with the county highway department that within 2 years, as they redo the D county,
Okay.
we're working on engineering to improve a canoe and kayak access that will be much safer and more people will be able to use the river safely. So on a small point, that's one of the things we're going to do. Another thing I'd like to do is I would really like to see, and we're working on, we have a master plan for improving Lake Altoona County Park.
Oh, okay.
And we've started with infrastructure, but that's an expensive project. And now here's the third thing we have to do before that project. Again, we're back to trying to reduce recidivism, trying to reduce the problems that put people in our jail system. A huge percentage are from drug abuse.
Okay.
And so we need to come up with some mechanism, both on a state level and on a county level, to try and improve on that. So the third thing is we're really forced to evaluate financially how we can do that. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge to the leadership of Eau Claire County. It's also a challenge to the employees of Eau Claire County. How can they change to help us? So those are three major things we're looking forward to.
Those are three things that I've not heard from anybody else, which is good because in the area that you are on, you get to see that more than anybody else.
Right.
You know, and I guess the things that I look for is if I go out to do something in the county park or anything else.
Sure.
It's almost like you have an expectation.
Right.
You don't realize all the juggling that has to go on in order just to have upkeep. And so when those hard questions come, what kinds of things do you guys as county supervisors have to look at, and how do you make those judgment calls?
Well, it's difficult. It's by committee. I often say to people, if you want to run for the county board, realize that we have 29 people on the county board. You're less than 4% of the vote.
Okay.
So you have to work within your committee and behind the scenes. An example is there's been a thought about selling the county exposition center that we have along on the highway. But yet there are county board members who feel like, you know, our county fair is very important to us. It's about what, it tells us kind of about what we are. It keeps us unified and it's good for the public. So when those things come up, then we have to work behind the scenes and talk to other board members.
Okay.
An example that I've tried to use is the landfill is not in my district.
Okay.
It's in this next district over. Yet 100 citizens in a group came to me and asked me for help on the landfill in their regard. So I had to interact with other county board members, politicking with them. I spoke to a high number of the people on the siting committee. I spoke to the company. And then I went to the meeting and spoke on their behalf. I mean, that's, you have to go beyond your district too. And you have to think about the whole county.
I think people, when they run for a position, you know, whether they're opposed or unopposed, at the end of the day, you are responsible not just for your district, but you're representing the county as a whole. And I think that is a really intrinsic thing that people need to let sink in. It's not just one group to protect that one area, it's about protecting the whole county.
Exactly right. And you know, you take an oath of office. And when you take that oath of office, you have to take it seriously. And how you act when you're in office, when you're in the public eye, is quite important also.
Yep.
So you're representing the government, you're representing the county, and you have to take some pride in that.
I think with your background, as well as mine was, when you're in medicine, there is no such thing as having time off. I mean, every time you're out there in the general public, people know
Right.
that, you know, who you are, or that
Sure.
you represent,
Right.
you work for.
You're recognized.
You have to, you're always having to say, hey, wait a second, it's more than me,
Sure.
you know?
Yeah, that's right.
And so that's always a badge that you have to carry around and protect that part of it as well. So public service is a hard thing for people to understand, that it is sacrifice.
Right.
But it's sacrifice in the fact that this is a passion that they want to do.
Sure.
And I guess when I first started looking at the county board and all the people, I thought, okay, how many things could there really be? You know, well, once you get into it, it is one of the more complicated
Yes.
areas. It does take collaboration.
Mhm.
So tell me, how is it? What kind of things do you feel that you bring better than anybody else on doing that collaboration?
Well, I've actually had a lot of experience with boards.
Okay.
I've been on a number of different boards, both in my job and in other areas. So, as an example, the Beaver Creek Foundation as chairman of the board there. So I think I believe that, and that helps me. I also, though, I have an intrinsic feeling about leadership. This may come from the military.
Yes.
You know, good leadership is taking more than your share of the blame and less than your share of the credit.
Right.
That's what good leadership is. And our county board needs good leadership, and it's good leadership that leads to collaboration. And so I would hope that that's something that I bring to this table.
Okay. Well, I really love that you took the time to come and talk to us, but I want to give you one last chance.
Sure, Jerry.
To talk to your constituents.
Sure.
And let them know, not only go out and vote, but why you feel that, you know, you are the best person for this job.
Well, you know, in my feeling, every person has a story to tell. Every person wants to tell their story. And I want those individuals to know that I'm listening. In the last 2 years, every email I've been sent, every phone call, I've always responded.
Okay.
And my feeling is that if I can help you, I will. If I cannot help you, I will point you in the direction and get you to someone who can help you.
Okay.
And thank you very much for this interview.
You're so welcome, and thank you again, Bert.
Thank you, Jerry.